Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the LiftAffect podcast. I am your host, Matt McNeil, founder, clinical director, and director of human performance at LiftAffect, where we assist professional pilots with maintaining better mental health and optimizing their mental skills. The goal of this podcast is simple: to help pilots and other high liability professionals and disciplines come out of the shadows to discover how we can live better lives personally and professionally. Join us each episode as we discuss various topics ranging from mental health, mental skills and performance, to business, entrepreneurship, and a few other surprises along the way.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest edition of the LiftAffect podcast. I'm Karl Keller, along with the man of the moment, as always, Matt McNeil. Buddy,
dude,
you leave me for a week and
look what happened.
Yeah, look out! You got all serious on me with digital addiction, dude.
It's a serious topic, isn't it?
It was.
Well, you know how we feel. I mean, you know, it's something we've talked about a lot.
We have. It's definitely something that everybody, I don't care where you are and who you are and what you do, you're going to see it, whether it's driving, whether it's with the family, whether it's in business. It's here, and it's something that affects all of us. So yeah, this is a great topic, because it's how do we manage it? How do we allow it to be a part of our lives without ruling and running our lives?
Yeah. So
it was a great topic. Like you said, you talked about some of the less savory and enjoyable parts of it. But you know, like you said, it wasn't exactly the greatest thing that you want to leave people with, but it's also the truth. And you know, you got to deal with it before you got to know where it is before you can start figuring out how to deal with it. So it was a great topic.
We got. And
now we get to talk about some of the good stuff.
Few emails about it. I think it was pretty, mostly positive. Oh well, I don't know what to say, but like, boy, this is really relevant. Yeah, it struggles. It's really, you depressed the crap out of me with that episode, you know. But I don't think I'm saying anything that people don't sort of know, unless you've been kind of living under a rock.
But people don't want to. It's one thing when you have put it right in front of them and they have to acknowledge it.
Yeah, it's hard.
If you're not looking at it, it's like out of sight, out of mind, or I'm not having to acknowledge it. And here you kind of put it right up front. I have no doubt that when this is all said and done, this is going to be one of the more popular podcasts that you've done, because it's just so relevant. I mean, hopefully, like you say, we were talking about some tips and some ideas how to move forward, because I know I'm, you know, with my kids, it's an ongoing battle. So this is something that just, you know, you got to sometimes just face the music and just deal with it straight up. So
yeah, we're really battling our biology against technology in some respects. You know, our biology is like, there's a guy named Tristan Harris. He's a digital ethics guy. And he did this 60 minutes interview on mind hacking. You can Google it if you just Google Tristan Harris 60 minutes. And he says that we need to understand that our prefrontal cortex is like almost 2 million years old. And that is what our mind basically is. We haven't evolved much from that. And so, you know, behind every little screen, like your phone or your iPad or even the computer, heck, your watch, my watch, you have thousands of engineers that are hacking into the limitations of that ancient prefrontal cortex. They know every single limitation it has, and they know how to directly tap into your, you know, your NAC, your nucleus accumbens, which is like this major component of the ventral striatum, and it's been thought of as the key structured involvement in mediating motivation and emotions. And these engineers, they work with psychologists to know, like, how do we make things more attractive for our brains? It's like feeding little bits of crack. And so you've got the infinite scroll, which you and I were just talking about before we hit the record button. I've got holding this book up called Indistractable. There's a guy named Nir Eyal. He was the engineer that developed the infinite scroll, and he's since really spoken out against the infinite scroll. And what it does, I mean, it's this thing to keep you continuously engaged. If you think about the scroll, it doesn't end. There's no end to it. And that is such a significant point when you think about how these things are engineered and these are designed. So you're kind of getting hacked by engineers. The formula, it's you minus 1 million years of evolution versus thousands of smart, ambitious engineers. And it's not, I don't think that they're trying to intentionally hurt you. I think that they're just trying to make money in an attention economy. You know, that's the only way to make money is by you consuming the.
And this is nothing new.
It's nothing.
I mean,
new.
Think about it back with TV. I mean, who did they go after? A lot of the commercials. It was the kids. They're very manipulative. They're malleable. They're very impressionable, and it's all about getting them to buy in, so to speak, to something. And with the electronics today, it's like constant dopamine hits. It's constantly getting.
Well, you remember the cigarette ads when they actually targeted children back in the day? And Tristan Harris, he says that in the future, when we look back, we will compare technology CEOs to tobacco farmers.
Yep.
And he said that it will be viewed as tobacco farmers in T-shirts.
I remember that. I think it was Marlboro where it showed the cowboy dad doing something and the little boy mimicking him, and he was doing everything. And at the very end, the last thing was lighting up a cigarette.
Marlboro man.
Yep. But I mean, so they have just perfected it. I mean, one of the worst ones out there, as an example, with the infinite scroll, is TikTok and Instagram. I mean, they've perfected a way to constantly put stuff in front of you, but in such a way that that's got a little bit of ebb and flow. So you just you're not on a constant high. So you get every now and then you need a new hit, and then it works. People are on it and they turn around and go, "Oh my God, where'd the afternoon go?" 4 hours, 5 hours later. It's almost scary to watch my kids. You'll talk to them and they don't even acknowledge you.
Right. I see it all. I see it. So what we could do today, instead of just going on, I mean, I think I've tried to make the case, you know, like this isn't, you know, Matt McNeil's original ideas. Like this is just looking at the research, and honestly, just kind of like looking around. It doesn't take a genius. If I can pick up on this, I think anybody can pick up on this. People are totally. My wife and I yesterday, we had to drive up kind of north of Denver to go do something, and on the way back, we decided to play this game. We said, like I'm driving, she's sitting in the passenger seat, and my daughter's in the back. And we said, let's look at every car that we pass, see if you can see either through the front windshield, which is less tinted, or the side. Everybody's got tinted windows out here because the sun is so bright. But let's see if you can see who's got their phone up. And I kid you not, it's like every damn car. I mean, to find somebody that's got just 10 and 2 on the steering wheel and just looking out the front is like, it seems like that's it's
scary.
The exception to the rule. It is absolutely scary. And then when you get to the stoplight, it's like all the phones come up. You just see you know, and then it goes green and you're just sort of sitting there, and then you get a couple beeps, and then, you know, people go. I mean, it is like, it's like,
and it's not that they put it down when they start driving.
They just realize it's green. They just keep, okay, I'll just try to divide my attention. So it is totally nuts. All right. So what we made the case. So can we talk about maybe some ways of breaking some of this addiction and some benefits of technology? I'm not completely anti-technology.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what this podcast is all about. Mental skills and mental health and tools and tips and techniques to sit there and manage our life.
Right.
And I will say something right up front. In this regards, thank God for technology, because look at what we're doing right here. This is how we're reaching.
100%.
So
it's a great advantage.
For us not to acknowledge that is, you know, this is how we're reaching you right now.
So here's some advantage. I've written out a few advantages. I took some inventory. I did a little bit of looking at, you know, some of the science of this. I try to use the science. I don't try to use mean, opinions and anecdotes are fine. Anecdote is not, there's still good science even in anecdotal evidence, but I try to look at what are the actual studies that have been performed and what's in the literature, which is a little bit more unbiased. And here's some of the things. I came up with 7 things that technology does that is an advantage, some benefits of technology. So one, just like you alluded to, communication and social connection. Actually, social networking, it can be a really good thing. It can facilitate how to communicate, help people stay connected with family and friends, and even Facebook. And I really don't like Facebook. Facebook is like, you might reconnect with people that you have completely lost touch with, that you'd have no other way of finding them. So it's kind of like a phone book in some respects. It's a modern phone book. We don't have the phone book anymore. I mean, do they even deliver phone books anymore?
No,
I don't think so.
I think there's certain places where you can get some, but it's
very limited.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of a modern phone book, and it can kind of create groups of people that are relevant. Like, let's say your high school graduating class. It's not going to have all this other stuff you have to sift through. It's very specific, and it can target specific groups. Online communities can be very helpful. Heck, V1. I mean, it's live. There's a lot of live stuff. And there's, in-person stuff in the works, but people meet online, and we meet, and it's organized in an online kind of platform. And that's I think that's only a benefit. You can,
and like you say, also with V1 and so many other programs out there, not only is it live, but a lot of the stuff is recorded. So if you're not able to make it live, you're still able to enjoy the benefits of what that program or that product, whatever you're interested in, has. So you can consume it when you're able to, versus go, oh, I missed it, now I'm out of luck.
And I'm going to tell you a little story that happened to me 2 summers ago. My cat, got cats and dogs, but one of my cats, he was losing weight. He's young. He was like about a year old, and he was getting really lethargic, was losing weight. And we were supposed to leave on this trip. And I woke up in the middle of the night and I was like, I'm worried about this cat. Something's wrong with this cat. And my she's like, oh, he's fine. He's fine. We're going on this trip. We're leaving. I'm like, I just, something was nagging me. 2:00 in the morning. I said, I'm going to take him to the emergency department. The emergency place out in Parker. They've got it's like a vet hospital for emergencies, got all the stuff. And I'm like, I just got to take him in. Flight's supposed to leave at 8:00 in the morning. Supposed to leave for the airport at 5:30. It's 2 a.m. I'm like, oh boy. So take him out there, drive out. They take him back. And I'm just laying in this waiting room, turn the lights off, trying to get a little bit of sleep in there. And she comes in and she says, he's really sick. He is either has some kind of lymphoma or cancer, or he's got something that's even worse called FIP, which is feline infectious peritonitis. It's not treatable and it's deadly. This cat's dying. And I don't know if he's going to make it through the day. And I'm like, oh shit. So she's like, why don't you go home? We're going to do more tests and we'll call you. So I'm just like a wreck. My animals are really important to me. They're like members of our family. So I'm like, screw this. We're not going on this trip. Cancel the flights. I'm like, we'll just have to push this. Maybe we'll see if we can leave later or whatever. No, I'm not leaving. So she calls, she goes, why don't you guys come in? My wife and I come in, and they said, look, it's not cancer. It is FIP. And there's no treatment for this animal. So normally we euthanize at this stage. She said, look, you didn't hear this from me. Okay. But there's this group called FIP Warriors or something like that. They've since changed their name. You might want to reach out to them. There's no number to call. The only thing they have is a Facebook group. But you might want to reach out to them and see if they have any perspective on this. So we get on this group. I'm like trying to figure out how to. I never look at Facebook, and I'm on my phone. I don't have it on my phone. I download it. I'm then trying to figure out my login and all this stuff. And my wife's trying to. And so we finally get on there. I think she did it on her account, and we look for the group, and we find this FIP Warrior 5.0 group, and there's all these hack groups, which they don't go to this one. That one's a fake one. Here's the official one, which is kind of one of the downfalls. Is this lack of quality control. But we find this thing and we send a message. And this is probably about 2:00 in the afternoon. And they get back to us. They said, send us his labs. Send us, you don't know who you're talking to. You see their handle, but it's not anybody's real name. So we send in the labs and it comes back with this very detailed analysis. It's clearly a vet that's behind this, a veterinarian, because you'd never be able to interpret all of the biochemistry of the labs. And they said, yes, this looks consistent with FIP. Send us a video of him walking. Send us this. We do all this. And they said, okay, we're networking, stand by. And about 10 minutes later, they say, we've got a parent. And parents are people that have put their cat through the treatment, parents of the cat. And they have basically rehabilitated their cat with these special drugs that they have. So we have a parent that has vials for you. And, here's all these people get included in the text. And people just goes, I got a vial out here. I'm in Parker. I've got one in Denver. I'm in Boulder. Found one 5 minutes away from our house in Castle Pines. The guy says, yeah, drive. Here's my address. Come on over. And I will help you give your first injection. This is all like, okay, this is like scary underworld drug shit, right? In some respects, we're kind of like, how do we know what we're getting? But we drive out, let's go to this guy's, he's got a big house, clearly a very affluent guy. And he's like, why don't you bring your cat in? Go into his office. He's got 3 cats. He goes, yeah, this cat had FIP and she's fine now, totally cured. I've got enough supplies for 5 days. I've got all the needles, all the syringes, all the stuff. I will help you I'll show you how to do the injection. I'll teach you guys how to do it. And in the meantime, you can order the meds, which is a antiviral treatment that comes from China. And basically what it is this interferon, which they use for humans, and will give you enough to tide you over until you can receive the shipment of vials. So we do this, and like within 24 hours, he's coming back. I mean, this it's like antivirals. Holy crap, they are a miracle. It's like antibiotics are a miracle. And we get networked in, and then within a few months, we're helping other people because we're part of this group. Hey, we got a vial out here in Highlands Ranch. And some come over, we give them extra, we've got extra syringes, and we teach them how to do it. And it's this network effect that starts to happen. And my cat, knock on wood, he has been in remission for almost a year. He's like basically cured of this disease. Now, I remember thinking, okay, that is a case for social media. That is a beautiful example of networks and network effects and social connection and communication. I mean, I'm thinking we went from 0 to injecting this cat with a miracle drug in less than 8 hours. And if you could never do that without these kinds of platforms. So that was it really, I had kind of ignorantly poo-pooed social media completely. It was like, this is all just garbage and it's junk. I was wrong. I was absolutely wrong. And that was a massive wake up for me of like using these things as a tool is the sky is the limit. If you're not being intentional and focused and aware and conscious and evaluating how you're using it, you very quickly become the tool, like the Marlboro ad. It's like subliminally you just get sold this kind of shit and you don't even know what's happening. And it's like, you got pickpocketed.
Absolutely. I mean, technology has allowed people to have a voice that would never have had it before. So the key is to sift through the garbage to find the jewels, the hidden diamonds. Yes. Or have someone point out to you, hey, go to this place because otherwise, I used to say trust but verify. There's a lot of verify
A
and you
lot
have
of
to be very
verifying, and it's
careful with-
scary because there's a
It
lack
is,
of
because you
quality
don't know.
control. I mean,
You don't.
you don't know. There's no regulatory agency that's overseeing this stuff. And really, honestly, I know, like, my very right-wing friends are going, no more government, no more. But like, the government needs to step in on some of this shit, because it is a garbage can of some really
Yeah.
very nefarious things.
And you have the ability to hide who you are.
Totally.
You know, I mean, with and obviously we're talking about the pros, but one of the cons is, my kids, they don't know. The person says they're a 14-year-old girl. Well, that may or may not be true.
Yes.
That could be a predator. So that's why like you say, that's the negatives. But that's a great story of the positives.
Yeah.
Is that you can actually get access to information, cutting edge, what it looks like in this case, that even your vet didn't know about. He's going.
Well, she knew, and she was like, I can't ethically tell you this.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, she was like, because it's not FDA approved, this medication. And now there's the UC Davis in California. They're doing the first clinical trials of interferon. And so we're like, this is a miracle drug. And there's all this thousands of people in this group that have like, yeah, my cat's been, and it took 2 treatments. I mean, he had a relapse after he did the first, I think it was 4 months of treatment, and we relapsed, and we worked with the people on this group, and they helped us adjust the dose, and it got him into remission. So, it's unknown territory. This is unknown because it's unregulated and it's developing so fast. So you've got to be very careful, but that is,
but there are gems out there.
There are gems
That's a
out
great
there.
example.
So communication, social connection. Second, information access and learning. So if you think about education, technology provides access to huge amounts of educational resources, which allows people to do self-directed learning and skill development. I mean, YouTube and podcasts, you can get a PhD worth of information. Now, I didn't say get a PhD. People, a PhD is a little more rigorous than watching YouTube videos, but there is amazing information on.
Look at Khan Academy.
Khan Academy is brilliant. I mean,
what a tool! What a great educational, informational. It's something that moves. It moves mankind forward.
It does. That's why Bill Gates put so much money into it. I mean, it's a huge.
People can say what they want about him in that regards, but in this here, this was a win for.
Yeah, he's basically
people.
curing malaria and educate. Yeah, okay, maybe he's like a perv or whatever, but I mean, honestly, most people, when you look in their closet, you're going to find
there's always
find shit in there. I mean, that's just the human. Don't put anybody up on a pedestal. I think that's. But when you're high visibility, you're going to always be, whatever. But so, I think education, being able to retrieve information. I mean, Google, for God's sake, the internet allows quick and easy access to just grabbing information that normally, what are you going to go to your Encyclopedia Britannica and try to find the information? It's not in there. So that is a huge advantage.
The ability to get different perspectives. I don't care whether you're left or right. I mean, most people go to CNN, Fox, NPR. I found this website that's amazing. It's called ground.news. And it actually, it takes all the stuff and actually gives you perspective on information. So you're getting,
ground
right
news.
there with the slides. Yeah,
is it sort of
like a ground?
Not quite. It's not leaning one way or the other.
It actually will tell you on the articles on a subject. It will tell you, okay, these articles lean left, these articles lean right. So you're actually able to see things that gives you this perspective on it. So you're getting more informed. And like I said, it's about knowing whether what you're reading is factual or whether there's an agenda. I hate to say it like that, where they're trying to push you to a predetermined position or thought. The goal is you should make your own mind up on whatever it is. Information, like you say, is out there, but make sure that it's information that is it's informed. Yeah. That's that part of of information. Yeah. So there's this, like you say, education tools. Just my kids use a thing that's called Reading Eggs, and
Reading Eggs,
Reading Eggs,
okay.
and oh my God, It basically it's math seeds and reading eggs. It's for reading and math to help them augment what they're learning in school, and it's interactive and they learn things with it. It's great. It's a great tool.
There's so much out there, and I think it's a gift, and I think we are so lucky to be alive in the age of these types of resources. So communication, social connection, information access, and learning. Now, here's the third one, very controversial, and I've been very outspoken about this, about the negative aspects of this, but mental health support. Mental health apps. Now, there are various apps designed to help reduce stress, anxiety, and depression, and offering tools like meditation, mood trackers, and unfortunately, online therapy services. Now, here, let me say this. Online therapy, if you are talking with a person, good with it. I'm fine with that. There is these platforms that do text-based therapy. My inclination is to say that's bullshit, but I don't know. I can tell you, I don't know what the data is. It hasn't been around long enough, and they're looking at the efficacy of these tools. I will tell you anecdotally from my clients that have tried it, it's shit. It doesn't work. Receiving support from text is not the same as a voice-to-voice interaction. And part of the problem I have with text is people want to, and look, everybody knows texting me is the quickest way to get me. But if you're, there's probably...
Well, that's notification. That's
that's notification, but conversation, exactly. Conversation, though, like with family or really close, like, okay, Karl, if you and I are going to talk about something, imagine how much effort goes, if we're going to have a lengthy discussion about something that's important, how much time it would take to do this over text versus just pick up the phone and call.
It out.
It's like, just call, just pick up the phone and we can have it's like a picture's worth 1,000 words. A conversation is worth 1,000 minutes of texting, a 5-minute conversation.
I will be honest with you. I personally have great concerns with it because you look at all the customer support now is AI.
Yes.
This is just one step away from having, you don't even realize
you're not talking to a person.
Yeah, it's a computer that's giving you mental health advice.
And there are therapy platforms now where you're talking to an AI bot that's giving you therapy. And
that's scary.
That is not, like, in terms of the research of what makes therapy effective, that is that defies every pillar of efficacy of what makes therapy effective. One of it's the relationship between the therapist and the client. It's these are called common factors of efficacy. It's not the modality. It's these other factors like the relationship, the mental health professional's belief in the modality that they're administering. It's the setting. It's all of these other human-based factors.
Oh my God, I'd go a step further. When someone is having a crisis, how do you text that versus hearing the
intonation in the voice?
Yeah, going, oh my, you need to go get help now. You need to go somewhere.
That's right.
You're in a very bad place.
That's right.
How do you can't capture that in a text. But like you say, this is a way to have people, you interact with people remotely and are able to help people. But like you said, it's the modality you use. You converse with them versus, hey, let's text this out.
Yeah.
You're right.
So now the meditation apps and the mood trackers, love them. And we use them in LiftAffect. We use them in V1. I love Headspace. I like Sam Harris's Waking Up app. I think Calm. I don't have a lot of experience with Calm, but some of my clients use Calm. Insight Tracker. I mean, there's all sorts of great apps but these are educational deliverables that have a mental health benefit. So, but in terms of getting support, please talk to a person. Don't rely on an app, a text relationship for deep work. That's just not something that I think is viable. The data is going to, we'll see what comes out with the studies that are being looked at, that are being conducted right now. But I'm telling you that it's not going to be a positive outcome. I strongly believe that. Could be wrong, but I don't think so on this. So mental health support. Okay, fourth, obviously entertainment and relaxation. Yeah, I think it's fine to watch movies. Or I love Spotify. I hate that it screws artists. And you know, listen, I am a recording artist, and they don't give you any. They give you, you know, fractions of a penny, which is absurd. Artists can't live on that. So I think that there's some problems with that. But look, I love being able to have an entire record store in my phone that I can just go click. I can find almost any recording and listen to it. How amazing is that? That is incredible. That's the future. I think it's great. I'm all for it. I just wish artists could actually survive.
For the consumer, it's a win.
It's a huge win.
When you consider what you would have to buy, you know, whether it was vinyl, CD, you name it, whatever cassette tape, whatever it used to be, you're able to have all of that inside of a tiny device.
Tiny device.
So in that regard, you have access to music and movies and all these things that you wouldn't have otherwise. So from the consumer's perspective, that's a win. Like you say, from the artist or the producer of it, it's more of a mixed bag.
It's a little, yeah. I think it's always room for improvement on that. Virtual reality, creating immersive experiences to promote relaxation, stress reduction, even helping with phobias, where you can get yourself into the environment. Huge fan. Fear of flying. They're starting to do some stuff with VR on that. Exposure treatments. I think this is a key factor in terms of dealing with some issues involving complex trauma and complex stress. So that's amazing.
The one note of caution is, and I'm going to bring it up in a general term, with something like porn, you know, online porn.
Yeah.
As an example,
Yep.
Be really careful that you don't have something like that or other things replace reality.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
virtual reality is not real. It's virtual.
Yep.
And you can start to,
I just wanted to point
there's
that
a
out.
lot of complexity with some of those things. But I think that there's every mountain has a sun facing
Yep.
side and a dark backside. And so you've got to know where you are on the mountain.
Yep.
Got to know where you are. So entertainment and relaxation. Fifth, productivity and time management. I mean, organizational tools for scheduling or task management, time management. Very good things. There's some really good apps to help manage your productivity. I like paper and pen for my productivity planner. I think there's something about writing with ink on paper that kind of slows things down. There's pretty good data on that. But there's keeping track of tasks that are done. I mean, we have an app that my wife and I share where it's just lists of things that need to get picked up at the store. It's an ongoing list. So I always check it if I'm running into Target or Whole Foods or the grocery store, King's. And I'm like, oh, is there anything I need to pick up? And then I click it off and then she sees in real time, oh, I don't need to go pick that up. We used to end up both buying the same thing. You know how that goes. And you're like, oh, I bought bananas. What? Well, now we have, 50 bananas. What the hell are we going to do all these bananas? This is a great way of keeping track of what we need to do, of what gets done, what needs to be done. So I think that's a huge advantage from a productivity time management standpoint.
That's leveraging technology to your
Absolutely.
advantage,
Using it, key piece, using it as a tool instead of being the tool. And by the way, I paid for that app. I typically won't get an app unless I have to pay for it, because I know if it's free, it's just going to try to use me to sell me shit. Or you can, I need to, you can open the app, but you can't do anything in it until you subscribe or buy more. And I'm like, I would rather pay for something because I know them that they're not going to try to keep pushing shit on me. Versus when it's free, air quotes, free, they're just going to be, you're going to be used as the tool, whether you want to be or not. Sixth, here's a big one that I use all the time: cognitive enhancement. There are brain training apps that enhance your cognitive abilities through activities that challenge memory and attention and problem-solving skills. So for my clients that are on the SSRI protocol that have to go do a neurocog for the FAA, a lot of times they're like, well, what is this neurocog going to be like? Well, you can't get that test. It's the neurocog AE edition, but you can train your brain to sort of, get used to some of the tasks that are going to be asked. So you can use things like Lumosity, and there's a website called Happy Neuron, and this will kind of get you used to some of the tasks that you're going to see on that test versus walking in cold, never having seen any of the stuff, no expectation. And that sometimes catches people off guard. They're like, I was trying to just figure out what the damn test is trying to ask me to do, and I didn't perform well on it. So I had to redo it again. And, my clients will say, I'm really glad I used those apps because while it wasn't the same as the actual test, I kind of like felt like I had a little bit of practice with just how to like think in a certain way. So I think that is it's an incredible tool to be used. There's language learning apps. A lot of my clients are trying to learn second languages or third languages. And you don't have to go take a class. You can just use an app and it kind of figures out what your learning style is and where you need to work on. And it's self-paced. I forget what the Duolingo, is that the name of the app? I think there's a few of them out there that people are using. That's a cognitive enhancement app. Huge advantage.
It's really, and this kind of touches several. My son's about to start a flight academy, and he had to do a lot of online training. And it used to be that you, and this goes also with my rest of my family members. You used to have to go to a test center if you did anything, as online. But now with these certain apps out there right now where they can do lockdown of the browsers and they actually are able to see what you're doing, and you actually able to take advantage of education and training without having to go sometimes very far distances to learn the stuff. So these are the kind of things that are really technology. Like you say, it's a tool, but it's a productive tool that allows you to move your life and your boundaries, expanding them.
Yes, I agree. Wholly agree. So we've got, what do we talk about? We talked about communication and social connection, information access and learning, mental health support with serious limitations, entertainment and relaxation, productivity and time management, cognitive enhancement. And the last category I came up with that I looked at based on the research out there, some of the science, is accessibility and inclusion. So assistive technologies can help improve access for individuals with disabilities, offering tools like screen readers, speech to text, and other assistive devices. These are game changers for people that in the past were just screwed. They couldn't, there was no way of being able to learn certain things if you had certain limitations, whether cognitive or physical.
It's literally a window to the world.
Huge.
For the elderly that can't go anywhere and do anything and still want to be able to experience things, whether it's like you say, and this covers so many of them: communication, entertainment, cultural stimulation, as far as for the mental side of things. This, like you said, accessibility, it just literally, you can see anything you want in the world virtually. Type it in, you can probably get a picture of it or access, and you can contact somebody anywhere. So this is really there. I think if they're willing to touch it, because so the elderly sometimes go, I lived all these years without it, I don't touch it. But so many of them, once they do, they realize it, they go, wow, I actually can interact. Whereas they were shut in before and they were just withering and dying on the vine.
Yes, that's right.
And so,
like, if you think about like Audible, I mean, Audible is amazing. Some people just like they would rather listen. They're more auditory learners than visual learners. Or if you think about, like, I have a client that he got a TBI pilot. It whacked his head. He's been out for 2 years trying to heal, really screwed him up. He can't read without getting excruciating headaches. And he's like, he said to me, Audible saved my life because I love to read. I love to learn. And if I couldn't read and there was no Audible, I would be completely depressed. What am I supposed to listen to? So he listens to books on tape, and he goes, so I feel like I haven't lost a thing. I'm still getting all the books that I want to read and listen to everything, but I don't have to get the headaches and I'm not stressing my eyes out as I'm trying to learn, heal, and it's a very slow process. That's a huge game changer. Huge game changer. So, and then there's another one that I've been looking at. You'd probably know more about this than I would, just because of somebody in your family that's got some experience with this, but inclusive gaming. There's adaptive gaming technologies that make gaming accessible to individuals with different abilities or in different locations or wherever. So I'm not a big gamer
I would kind of put that under the entertainment side of it.
Sure.
But you can make it you can make a living off it if you're really good at it.
Right.
But yes, that is something there.
Yeah.
But and the other side, again, the negative is now people do these online betting things. So, which is entertainment, but it can be a very negative
thing. Very costly entertainment.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not.
But these are all, like you say, this is the silver lining of technology and the advancements that we've all seen. But you got to use them judiciously and understand that every one of them has got that seedy underbelly that can suck you into the void if you're not careful.
Yep.
Use it for what it is. And I think for me, the big takeaway that you've said multiple times is use it as a tool on your terms instead of letting it use you as the tool on its terms.
Be happy to pay for it, because if it's free, the only way that they can make money is by advertisers.
Yeah. Think about it the other way. How long can you live and survive by giving your knowledge, your hard work, your efforts for free? At some point, you got to have a return on the investment.
You got to have a return on investment. So, which brings me to a little announcement. Please join our subscribers only feed. If you find a value in this podcast, we have purposely not done outside paid advertisers. And believe me, there's been offers to do that. But I don't want to have to rely on that. If I have to, I will, to keep the podcast going. But I don't want to have to rely on that. And I would never advertise anything that Karl or I or anybody that we're associated with wouldn't use ourselves. But if you want to support our podcast, the way that we ask for your support is that you join our subscriber feed only channel. It's right here in the show episode description. You'll see a little link. You can join our newsletter, or you can subscribe to the podcast. And that's how we ask for your support. It's $10 a month. It's about the price of a cup of coffee. You will get some extra stuff. What do you get? What extra do you get with a subscriber feed?
Book reviews. We got the show notes.
Yep. Links.
We've got interviews with some amazing people,
and we're stockpiling those guys. So we're going to end up starting to release them on a very consistent basis. Where right now we're just trying to record a bunch of them. So I know there's only been one or two out there that we put up, but it's coming. You're going to get full access to the interviews with hearing people other than Karl and I.
And Matt doesn't even know this, but there's a surprise that's coming. It's not here yet, but he doesn't even know about this surprise.
Ooh.
That's going to be exclusive to just the premium members only.
I'm excited to find out. I have absolutely no idea what you're talking about.
He has no idea.
We'll find out. So
but again, this is we value you, and we want to grow our community. We want to spread this word to so many other people, but we want to make sure that it provides you as a value, so that this is a tool that you can use to enhance the quality of your life.
Right.
The thing that we have said so many times, our ultimate goal to flourish and express the best version of ourselves. And that also means by us giving. This isn't about us taking, we're giving because we want you to have the mental skills and mental health tools to be able to do that for yourself.
Amen to that.
Thank you.
So, and we do appreciate you. Yes, I thank you very much. I'm appreciative for anybody that tunes in and listens to this. There's certainly things that we could be doing other than doing this. It's not because I have a lot of extra time, but I do this because I think some of you have indicated that you find value in it. And yeah, there's a million podcasts you could listen to, and you probably should be listening to some of them because they're amazing. I don't think this is the greatest podcast in the world, but this is for people like us that do things.
Speak for yourself.
Well, look, man, this is for people like us that do things like this. It is not for everybody. It's for our community.
True.
And
but like as an example, these 2 last podcasts, these touch everyone.
Yeah. All right. So I think what we'll do, because we're running short on time, I don't want to get into solutions to break the habit. I think maybe we'll talk about that next. I will get deep into Nir's book. Maybe even we'll do a little kind of a mini book review that will just give access for everybody. And we'll include some of his research on how to, okay, we got this digital problem where we may be using it in not the most productive ways. How do we create some solutions to that? We'll cover that next time. We'll do that on the next episode.
Thanks for being here, and we can't wait for you to hear part 3 of this, what I think is a very important topic, because it affects everybody. We can't wait to see you next week. And until then, we hope you have a great day, great rest of your week. Take care. Talk to you soon.
See you guys. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the LiftAffect podcast. If you want to dive deeper into this episode and every episode, go to the LiftAffect podcast.podbean, that's podbean.com. If you're enjoying the show, we would love it if you'd follow us on Spotify and rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts. We really appreciate your support. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, all with the ID Matthew McNeil. This show is brought to you by LiftAffect, a clinical mental health and consulting company that assists air carriers, corporate flight departments, pilot unions, and commercial pilots by providing comprehensive psychotherapy and mental coaching services to pilots with mental health and mental performance-related issues. Visit LiftAffect.com, that's LiftAffect.com, to book your free consultation. And finally, this podcast is for general informational purposes only. It does not constitute the practice of counseling, psychotherapy, medicine, or any other healthcare service, including the giving of medical advice. No therapeutic or provider-patient relationship is formed. The use of this information and any materials linked to this podcast is at the user's own risk. The content of this podcast is not intended to be a substitute for professional psychological advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Users should not disregard or delay in obtaining advice for any psychological or medical condition they have, and they should seek the assistance of their healthcare professionals for any such conditions. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on the LiftAffect podcast.